I have recently had the pleasure of recommending books to a lot of people in my life. So I thought I'd make a list of the books that I recommend most often, and I have a mix of genres. Starting off with fantasy, I like to recommend Can't Spell Treason Without T for folks who like cozy fantasy. And for dark academia, I like to recommend Ninth House. For thriller slash horror, I like to recommend The Honeys. Dark and Shallow Lies is one that I don't see talked about nearly enough, and this is so good. And then S.A. Cosby is a great thriller author, so I will recommend anything that S.A. Cosby's written. For romance, I will recommend Most Ardently. This is a Pride and Prejudice retelling that is awesome. Kind of romance slash fantasy, Wolfsong by TJ Klune, anything by TJ Klune, but this one is great for the romance readers. And Forget Me Not by Julie Stoto. I love, love, love this one. Now, I tried to pull things that I don't see recommended super often that aren't recent releases and on the bestseller list right now because I feel like people are already aware of what those books are for the most part. So I tried to pull a little bit more obscure recommendations, with, of course, the exception of James. This is as good as everyone says it is. I recently just told my mom that she needs to read this. She said that she tried and didn't like it, but I told her, go back to it because it's great. A Gentleman in Moscow is actually one that my mom recommended to me a few years ago, and I sort of struggled with this while I was reading it, but I ended up really enjoying it, and I do think about it a lot, and I do want to watch the show. The Husbands is sort of a fun, absurdist literary fiction book. This is wild. It's just kind of funny. It's lighthearted. It's low stakes. I love to recommend this one to people, especially if they're not a huge reader. They just kind of want to read for escapism. They don't want to like the really specific genre. This is a good one. Another one that is really popular, but I do agree with, is The Women by Kristen Hanna. Anything by Kristen Hanna, but this is her most recent, and I loved it. Loved it. I cried, and I think people should read it. It's awesome. My favorite book of 2024, Beartown. I have gotten my mom to read this. I'm trying to get a coworker to read it. I need everyone to read this. Everything by Fredrik Backman I've read so far is great. And then for the weird side of lit fic, Ling Ling Wang's Natural Beauty is a good recommendation. I just want more people to experience this because I think it is wild.